Hi, this is Randy from Fried Eggs Golf, and welcome to Over Easy. Today's episode is going to be primarily based on how we cope with the winter months as golfers. You know, when the weather turns bad or when it gets cold outside, what we do indoors to kind of keep our game fresh, or that when we go out to the golf course, the next time in the spring, we don't embarrass ourselves. But before I get to that, I do want to mention that I have finished the Jim Furyk 58 rap song. It is completely done. It's recorded. It's ready to go. I'm actually ready to shoot a video for that song as soon as this guy right here can find time in his busy schedule. So what I need from you guys is I need you, for those of you who have Twitter, to hop over to Quentin's Twitter account. I'll put the handle right here so you can check it out. But just hop over there, send him like a friendly reminder like, hey, Quentin, it'd be nice if, you could get the ball rolling on this Jim Furyk 58 rap video because we really want to see it. Something to that effect so, he understands the urgency and the magnitude of this video. So moving on from there, I do want to talk briefly about a little bit about what I do in the off season to kind of, keep my sanity as a golfer because for those of you who don't experience winter, it sucks. And don't get me wrong, I love snow and I love, being outside and building snowmen and doing that, but I like it for like 4 days. And then I want nice weather back. So where I live, which is in the northern part of Indiana, typically around mid to late October, that's when the temperatures start to change, they start to drop, and we start to see some snowfall and freezing temperatures until about mid-March is usually when stuff starts to thaw out and we can actually see grass again. But fortunately this year, during February, which I say fortunately, but maybe it's kind of scary, we actually had some really warm temperatures and the ground thawed and it was actually in like the mid 60s, and I actually went out and played, and you guys, if you've seen it, I put a course vlog on my channel. That was my very first time hitting golf balls off of grass for almost 4 months. So I got to go out, I got to play, and that was exciting, and I'm glad I did because if you were to go out onto our range right now, you would see it covered in snow. But anyway, moving on. It's cold outside. There's snow on the ground. What do you do to keep your, one, sanity as a golfer, and two, kind of keep your swing sharp during those cold months? That way, when spring does come and you get out on the golf course, you're ready to play and you're not starting from scratch all over again. So what I like to do in the winter months is I really don't like to hit a ton of golf balls, and the reason for that is because I think it was like my senior year of high school. The whole off season, that entire 4.5 months, I hit golf balls off of like a cheap rubber mat into a net. You know the ones I'm talking about, the ones that are like rubber that thick and then like the grass on top's like a millimeter, and it feels awful. And I did that like, if not every day, every other day, just to kind of keep the swing sharp and everything. But what it did is it kind of messed up my swing for a little bit. When spring came around, my contact was so poor, and from what my best guess is that rubber mat kind of redefined the bottom of my swing, because those of you who hit off rubber mats, you know that you can they kind of help you out a little bit. You can hit a little bit behind the golf ball, and the club will actually jump into the ball, and you'll hit it on the sweet spot, and you're like, oh, I hit a good shot. But in reality, you maybe caught it just a tad bit heavy, and you don't know that until you play off of turf, and then that turf grabs your club, and you're like, oh, I just hit a fat shot, even though I've been telling myself all winter that was a good shot. But I don't want to say don't hit golf balls off of a mat. Sometimes that's the only thing that you can do. But if you can find, one of the thicker, more plush ones that, have a little bit of give to them, that way when you hit, like, oh, I caught a little bit of turf between that and the ball, and it gives you appropriate feedback. Some of the new mats out there are awesome, and you can actually get some really good practice sessions in on those. Another thing I like to do, which may be a little bit unorthodox or crazy, I'm not sure if any of you guys do this, but when I'm like shoveling the driveway, I'll play mental rounds of golf in my head. So when I'm just trying to pass time, I'll think of a course that I play a lot, and I'll actually, from tee to green, play every single hole, every single shot, and I'll just think out my shots as I play them. So I'm like, okay, on this hole, I like to hit fairway wood with a little bit of a draw, because I know that if I miss right, I'm going to be blocked out by those trees, and then I'll hit that shot mentally, and I'll picture the ball flight. And then I'll go to the next shot, and I'm like, okay, if I hit it well, I have about this yardage in, I'm going to hit this club into the green, and I'm going to play it with this type of ball flight, because when they put the pin in this location, it's easier to play a fade in there. But you guys get the picture. So the idea is to stay mentally sharp, and that way you're preparing yourself when you get out on the golf course to think that way. You think about the types of shots that you want to hit, so when you're out there, you're not just like hacking around the golf course. Another thing I want to talk about, which is sort of an anomaly, and those of you who don't experience winter might not know what I'm talking about, but when you come out of that winter slump and you get to play golf for the first time, typically I play some of my best golf in those first couple rounds. And I think the reason is because I just don't have any expectations. I don't have any swing thoughts. I kind of left all my bad habits in the prior season. But I think it's, once again, it's just because, I don't have any expectations and I'm just out there to have fun, and I'm playing golf like you should, which is not thinking about my swing or mechanics. I'm just trying to hit the ball into the hole in as few strokes as possible. And obviously, there's simulator golf, which is become exponentially better in the last 4 or 5 years with the introduction of the GC2 launch monitor and their software to play, rounds of golf actually on a golf course, a virtual golf course. It is awesome. It is way better than it used to be, because there was virtual golf back when I was younger and it was dreadful. The ball would float in the air. You guys, if you've ever played, you know what I'm talking about. Another cool thing, and this is not an endorsement because it's a weird product, but it's called floppy ball. Insert jokes below. But what it is they're like hacky sack material, like the hacky sack back in the day. The thing that's cool about it is they actually have a rubber core and they kind of are filled, so they're weighted and they have a pretty good weight to them, but they have this soft, kind of knit cover to them. And what I like to do with these is I'll put them on my carpet or a mat in my living room, and I'll chip them into the cushions of the couch, and I'll pick the crevices and I'll try to aim and actually fly a ball in there. And it's a muscle memory thing, just kind of working, on the short game swing, on the bump and runs, hit some flop shots with them and stuff like that. But it's kind of a harmless product. If you scald one into the television, it's not going to hurt it. So it's kind of a cool thing. One of the things that I wish I did more of is practice putting. I don't know why, and I kind of know why. I just have a brain that doesn't work well with repetitiveness. So, when I'm sitting there and I'm on my carpet and I'm hitting putts into a coaster or a glass, it just, after 100 of those, it's I can't do it anymore. So I wish that I had the focus and the ability to practice putting more in the off season, because I feel like that could be the time that you really dial in that putting stroke, and I've tried to on many occasions, get a putting arc or really set up a nice putting area in my house where I can go to repetitively and just work on it. But it's after a couple weeks, I'm just spent and I can't keep up the routine. But I wish I could, because I think that should be your primary focus during the off season, is to practice putting and to get better at it, and maybe even get better at practicing putting, which is what I should probably try doing maybe next year. I'll try it next year. And I get questions all the time because I work in a golf shop. People are I want my kid to be good at golf. I want him to be on the PGA Tour. What should I do? And I'm you should move. Not to say that you can't be a good golfer in a cold weather area. I'm just saying that you're going to have to put in that much more effort. And you sacrifice a lot of feel during those winter months, because you don't get to hit balls onto a green, you don't get to hit off of grass, and you don't get to keep that feel sensation of your short game during those months. And that's the one big sacrifice you make living in a cold environment, is that you don't get to keep that feel year in and year out. You kind of lose some of it, and then you build it back up, and then you lose it again, and then you build it back up. It's just that vicious cycle of living in the Arctic. But what do you guys do when you can't get outside to play golf? Do you hit balls, into a net? Do you read books about golf? Do you watch YouTube videos? Let me know. Put it down in the comments section below and tell me what you do to pass time. I guess if you live in a fair weather climate, I guess you could still experience rain. So what do you do on rainy days when it's, a monsoon and you can't get out? Do you have a facility that you go to? Are there academies where you live that you can, participate in? I look forward to reading your guys' comments. Please, just let me know where you guys are at, what the weather is like, where you live, and how you guys cope with, the different situations and the hands that you're dealt. I also wanted to say thank you to Peter Finch for the shout out on last week's Finch Friday episode. Checks in the mail. But thank you guys for watching, and please tell Quentin politely to, shoot this rap video and let's get this thing on the channel. So thank you as always, and I will see you guys next time.